This week, I cried. Not for myself, but I cried for all of us. My birthday is March 31st. So for my 11th birthday, 1981, my parents arranged for a very special treat. We were visiting here in Washington, D.C. from San Francisco. I remember that we stayed in L'Enfant Plaza. I was amazed by the Department of Energy is right there, and HHS down the street, the Smithsonian's, the IRS on the other side, the EPA, etc. These are the agencies that make our country run. Ronald Reagan was president, and for my birthday, we took a tour of the U.S. Capitol. We went first to our congressman's office, Tom Lantos, Zichrono Livracha, and I was mesmerized by the flags which stood outside the offices of each representative's office of all of the states. They were so beautiful. And we walked over that day, the tunnels between the buildings, the Library of Congress, and we ended up with the congressman taking us onto the floor of the House of Representatives, and I was in awe. The grandeur, the history, our history, the people that had sat at these desks and debated the issues of our nation. And when they disagreed, the legislation would move across the street to be adjudicated by the Supreme Court. These two arms of government, legislative and judicial, set and interpreted the laws of our nation. It was a powerful day for a young kid interested in politics and current events. As we were touring the House chamber, all of a sudden, men in suits with earpieces quickly walked in and said we must clear the floor and leave the Capitol immediately. There was an urgency in their voice. What happened? And they responded, the president has been shot. It was March 30th, 1981, the day John Hinckley Jr. shot President Reagan. Years later, I would attend a State of the Union in that same chamber, and going to college in DC and working after college near the Hill, the Statue of Freedom standing at the top of the Capitol dome would always be in view. Even if she had her eyes facing east, possibly to protect us from the dangers from across the Atlantic, at that time, Britain. Freedom atop the Capitol. She could not have known that the danger was not coming from the east, but from within our own country. It was not the British this time who would storm the Capitol as happened in 1814, but this time American citizens incited by our own president who would overtake the US Capitol and penetrate the sacred chambers of democracy. Freedom was looking elsewhere this past Wednesday. She should have been looking straight down as her building was being stormed by mobs. And I cried for all of us. Many who were complicit in getting us to this moment have changed their tones all of a sudden as the political winds have shifted. Politicians who were once reasonable legislators with different policy priorities became swept up in the wave of populism. They were quiet at best, or at worst, actively gave support for the undermining of trust and truth, which President Trump and too many others have been engaged in. And I imagine, or at least I hope, it is difficult for them to sleep at night. Today, I have 3 basic points, which I don't want us to forget. Words matter. Truth matters. The welfare of our country matters. First, words matter. Incitement, sedition, words matter. You've heard this so many times. God created the world in words, Vaidaber Adonai, and God spoke. This is probably the most repeated phrase in the entire Torah. We create worlds with words. We murder with words. We gossip with words. We build up people with words. We chastise with words. Rambam, Maimonides, teaches in the Mishnah Torah that using words incorrectly is worse than murder or idolatry combined. He continues to say that one who uses false words is as if he has denied God's existence itself. He denies God because he's denying the truth. God is referred to as ha'emet, the truth. And you've seen this prayer when someone dies, Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, dayan ha'emet. God is the judge of truth, emet. So to use your words in falsehoods is to deny the truth. It is to deny God. Words matter, and so false words, false truths, lies, culminated in Wednesday's assault, leaving people dead and injured. All who participated in supporting or spreading these lies over the past years are liable in part. And this constant assault with words has been led by our president. Words matter, lies matter, truth matters. This irresponsibility of truth is captured in a Talmudic passage about the Hebrew letters in Masechet Shabbat. The letters of emet, truth, aleph, mem, and taf, which all rest solidly on their foundations, are contrasted with the letters of sheker, falsehood, each of which teeters on a single point if you picture the letters in your mind. The Talmud moralizes that this truth endures while falsehood collapses, as the letters themselves are either rooted, like the letters of emet, or teeter, like the letters of sheker. But further, aleph, mem, and taf are the first, middle, and final letters in the Hebrew alphabet. See, truth is not a nicety when convenient. It is the beginning, the middle, and the end of everything. Truth matters with Judaism, and I believe truth matters within our nation. The continual assault on truth was not hidden or subtle. On January 22nd, 2017, 2 days after President Trump was inaugurated, 2 days into Donald Trump's presidency, Kellyanne Conway said on Meet the Press that there were alternative facts. 2 days into this presidency. In speaking about the crowd size at the inauguration, Chuck Todd, host of the program, asked Conway to explain why that White House press secretary, Sean Spicer, would utter a provable false, he said. Conway stated that Spicer was giving, quote, alternative facts. And Todd responded, look, alternative facts are not facts. They're falsehoods. And that's how we started this administration. Just 2 days in, truth matters. And the Talmud knew. It is emet, or it is sheker, truth or falsehood. And the welfare of our country matters. Dr. Jonathan Sarna has written about the history of the prayer for country. We recited a version of this earlier today. Sarna writes, by the mid-17th century, a cleverly written prayer known in Hebrew as Ha-Noten Teshuvah, and beginning with the phrase, as traditionally translated, he who giveth salvation unto kings and dominions unto princes, has become a fixed part of the liturgy in most of the Jewish world. Now believed to have been composed in the 16th century, the prayer likely emerged in the Sephardic diaspora among Jews expelled from Spain and Portugal, and then traveled along the extensive network of Sephardic trade routes and was adopted with minor modifications by Ashkenazic Jews who carried it through Central and Eastern Europe. In 1655, again, to get a sense as to how old, how long we have been praying for the welfare of the countries that we have lived in. In 1655, the Dutch scholar and Rabbi Menashe ben Israel published a translation of the prayer into English as part of his apologetic effort to prove Jewish loyalty in order to secure the readmission of Jews into England. He described the prayer, quite outdated at the time, but as part of the continual and never broken custom of the Jews wheresoever they are on the Sabbath day or other solemn feasts, to have the minister of the synagogue bless the prince of the country under whom they live, that all the Jews may hear it and say Amen. The manifest language of the prayer bespeaks Jewish loyalty and faithful allegiance. It calls upon God to bless, guard, protect, help, exalt, magnify, and highly aggrandize, literally to raise upwards the king and the royal family, to grant them a long and prosperous rule, and to inspire them with benevolence towards us and all Israel, our brethren. At the same time, the prayer's esoteric meaning, presumably recognized only by an elite core of well-educated worshipers, reveals much about the mentality of diaspora Jews subjected to countless acts of discrimination under the dominion of foreign kings. The biblical verses quoted in the prayer conceal hints of spiritual resistance, a cultural strategy well known among those determined to maintain their self-respect in the face of religious persecution. The article talks about how the prayer shifts in the American colonies as we broke away from British royalty and established a presidency. A president who is not a king, but a president who is a subject of the people, not the other way around. Sarna points out that the evolution of this prayer is a liturgical witness to the American experience of defining how we will work as a nation. Certainly email me and I'll share the full article with you. But for centuries, Jews have prayed for the welfare of the countries in which we have lived, and our prayers for America remain active and sincere and needed. This week, we witnessed rioters desecrate the symbolic and actual center of democracy. It was disgusting. It was shameful. It was terrorizing. And I cried for America. As I include, there are two tangible acts that we can do together. One is to join us and the clergy of Bethesda United Methodist Church as we read together Ta-Nehisi Coates' book, Between the World and Me. It is a powerful memoir of being Black in America, and we will spend 4 weeks together, the church and the synagogue, unpacking this important book. That there's information that will be in the listserv this week. And the other is to join with the Chazan for a Zoom concert tomorrow at 4 p.m. called Songs of Hope and Light. It is a program that was planned long ago, but I think takes on a new urgency. It is free, and you can register on the Bethel website. Again, tomorrow at 4 p.m., Songs of Hope and Light. So in 1918, Irving Berlin wrote the song, God Bless America. A Jewish American expressing the love of country. And despite the real and deep problems we have, I still believe in our nation. I know we must become better. So please join me. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Shabbat shalom.